Aliens wasn't just a sci-fi sequel. It was a masterclass in tension that traumatized a generation, screaming pulse rifles and acid blood melting through steel floors. But behind the blockbuster action, the set was a total war zone. A crew strike over tea trolleys, a lead actor raided by police and fired mid-shoot, and a director who threatened to replace the main star with the Terminator. These are 15 creepiest facts about Aliens 1986, and hidden in the industrial sets, the Joker's origin from Batman actually took place inside the Xenomorph Hive. Number 1. Batman's hidden connection to aliens. The massive industrial set used as the alien hive in Aliens came from a real decommissioned power plant in England. James Cameron chose it because the movie didn't have the budget to build huge sci-fi environments from scratch. After filming Wrapped, the set was never fully torn down. It was too large, too complex, and too difficult to remove, so the crew simply left most of it standing. 3 years later, Tim Burton arrived to film Batman. His team needed a location for Axis Chemicals, the place where Jack Napier falls into a vat of chemicals and becomes the Joker. Instead of building a new set, Burton's crew reused the exact same power plant. They repainted the walls, pipes, and metal walkways that once served as the Xenomorph nest. That means the Joker's origin in the Batman literally took place inside the old alien hive. Number 2. The hidden death too dark for theaters. In the theatrical version of Aliens, Carter Burke's ending is left unclear. After his attempt to sacrifice Ripley and Newt fails, he panics, runs out of the room, and is grabbed by a xenomorph. The movie never shows what happens next, which made fans wonder about his fate for years. But James Cameron actually filmed a much darker conclusion. In a deleted scene, Ripley finds Burke in the alien hive while she is searching for Newt. He is fully cocooned, still conscious, and knows he has been implanted with a xenomorph embryo. Burke begs Ripley to help him and desperately pleads, "Ripley, help me." Instead of rescuing him, Ripley hands him a grenade so he can end his suffering before the creature emerges. Cameron removed the scene because it slowed the final rescue sequence and shifted attention away from Newt. Number 3. The ending they refused to let Cameron film. Before Aliens became the action-packed classic we know, James Cameron actually wrote a much darker version of the story. In his early draft, Newt wasn't supposed to survive. The plan was for Ripley to find Newt too late, turning the final battle into a desperate one-woman fight against the Queen. Cameron believed this would push Ripley emotionally and make the ending even more intense. But when the studio read the draft, they immediately shut it down. They told Cameron that having a child character perish would make the movie too depressing and risk alienating audiences. Number 4. The real mother Easter egg. In the director's cut of Aliens, there is an emotional scene where Ripley learns that her daughter, Amanda, grew old and passed away while Ripley was drifting in space. She's shown a photo of an elderly woman, and this moment becomes a key part of why Ripley later connects so strongly with Newt. Most viewers assume the picture is just a random actress in aging makeup or a standard prop, but fans eventually uncovered something far more personal. The woman in the photo is Sigourney Weaver's real-life mother, Elizabeth Inglis. This means that during the scene, Weaver is not only acting as Ripley mourning her daughter, she is also looking at the actual face of her own mother. This small detail adds a surprising emotional layer to the scene and makes Ripley's reaction feel even more genuine on screen. Number 5. The Queen made them dumber. Have you ever noticed the massive difference in how the creatures behave between the first two movies? In Alien 1979, the single xenomorph is terrifyingly intelligent. It knows how to cut the power to the ship to confuse the crew. It hides in the escape shuttle and it stalks the victims patiently like a calculated killer. But then in Aliens 1986, they are like mindless insects that just run straight into automated sentry guns and die by the dozens. A fascinating theory suggests this is actually biological. It is called the hive mind paradox. The idea is that a solitary xenomorph is highly smart and independent because it has to be to survive. But when a queen is present, she actively suppresses their individual intelligence to control them better. The queen basically turns them into mindless pawns that share one collective brain. Number 6. The Arnold Bluff. Getting Sigourney Weaver back as Ripley for Aliens was harder than fans might think. She wanted a $1 million salary, and 20th Century Fox refused to pay it. The studio even claimed that the sequel could work without her. James Cameron thought that was nonsense, so he came up with a clever trick to speed up the deal. He called Arnold Schwarzenegger's agent and casually said he was rewriting the script to remove Ripley. He added that the new version would focus on the Marines and make Arnold the new lead. Cameron said this because he knew agents shared information with each other. A few hours later, the rumor reached Weaver's agent, who panicked after hearing she might be replaced by the Terminator. She quickly accepted the offer. Cameron later admitted he never wrote any part of that fake Arnold script. Number 7. The shocking recast. The Corporal Hicks we know, played by Michael Biehn, wasn't the first choice. The role originally went to James Remar, who had already been filming for weeks on the London set. The official story for Remar's sudden exit was creative differences, but the dark truth was a serious legal complication. Authorities raided his apartment and found him in possession of banned contraband. Given the UK's strict laws, the production had to part ways with him immediately, leaving the movie without a lead soldier mid-shoot. In a panic, director James Cameron called Michael Biehn on a Friday night and ordered him to fly out to London immediately and start filming. Biehn had no time for the military training the others received. Number 8. The Bishop Betrayal. The biggest mystery in the entire franchise is the opening of Alien 3. How did an alien egg end up on the sealed Sulaco? The Queen was clinging to the landing gear outside and had no way to bring an egg aboard. That's why some fans believe the only person with the time and access to plant it was Bishop. While he was alone piloting the dropship to rescue Ripley and the others, he had a perfect window to secure a specimen for Weyland-Yutani. Under this theory, he wasn't saving Ripley and Newt out of compassion. He needed living hosts so the Xenomorph would survive the long trip home. He didn't malfunction. He completed his secret orders exactly as programmed. Number 9. Two Men and a Monster. The Alien Queen is arguably the greatest practical effect in movie history, but how they made it move is mind-blowing. It wasn't a robot, and it wasn't stop motion. The Queen was a giant puppet with 2 live stuntmen strapped inside her chest. These 2 men were tied back to back inside the torso. One controlled the Queen's large main arms using his own arms, while the other controlled the smaller secondary arms. Their legs hung down into the Queen's hips, which were supported by a crane. They were sealed inside the rubber suit all day, breathing from oxygen tanks, completely blind, and relying on headsets to hear James Cameron screaming directions at them. Number 10. The guns that weren't really guns. 2 of the coolest weapons in Aliens look completely futuristic, but behind the scenes, they were actually built from everyday filming equipment and modified vintage hardware. Let's start with Vasquez's smart gun. It moves so smoothly that it looks like it's floating. The secret is that it wasn't carried by hand. The filmmakers mounted the gun onto a Steadicam rig, the same harness used by cameramen to keep movie shots stable. The famous M41A pulse rifle was also not a newly invented sci-fi weapon. It was a custom movie prop created by fitting parts from 3 different historical firearms together. A Thompson submachine gun is the base, with parts from a shotgun and a SPAS-12 shell to give it a futuristic look. Because these props used real mechanisms to fire blanks, the sound was so loud on set that some actors complained about temporary hearing problems. Number 11. The Trolley Mutiny. When Aliens started shooting in England, James Cameron walked into a completely different work culture. The British crew at Pinewood Studios followed a strict routine. No matter what was happening, everything stopped for tea breaks at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. This was totally normal for them, but for Cameron, who had just come from the non-stop low-budget grind of the Terminator, it felt outrageous. One day, right as they were setting up an effects-heavy shot with smoke filling the room, a tea trolley rolled onto the set, and the entire crew immediately paused to grab drinks and snacks. Cameron snapped. He kicked the trolley over, spilling hot water and food everywhere, and yelled that he'd fire the whole department if it happened again. The confrontation became legendary on set and was later nicknamed the Trolley Mutiny. Number 12. The Real Knife Attack. One of the most famous scenes in the movie is Bishop the android performing the impossibly fast knife trick on Private Hudson's hand. You might assume this was a camera trick or that the footage was sped up, but it wasn't. It was 100% real speed, and the danger was real too. The actor Lance Henriksen had practiced the move for weeks, but the scene wasn't originally scripted to include Hudson's hand. It was a last-minute decision, and Henriksen didn't warn Bill Paxton that he was going to go full speed. When you see Hudson look genuinely terrified and screaming, he isn't acting, he is actually scared for his life, and he had a reason to be. In one of the takes, Henriksen actually missed and nicked Paxton's pinky finger, causing a minor injury on set. The scene you see in the movie is the one take where Paxton didn't get stabbed. Number 13. The score that caused a feud. James Horner's musical score for Aliens is iconic, but its creation was an absolute disaster that caused a decade-long feud with James Cameron. Horner was promised 6 weeks to compose, but due to chaotic editing delays, he was only given 2. The pressure was so intense that the finale music, The Battle Against the Queen, had to be written overnight while the orchestra waited. Desperate for time, Horner reused musical motifs from his previous scores, including Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan and Star Trek III. The recognizable horn sound and certain brass parts in Aliens are almost identical to the battle theme he wrote for those Star Trek films. Cameron intensely disliked the final score during recording, but had no time left to change it, leading to years of hostility between the two artists. Number 14. The Cursed Star Myth. For years, fans believed Carrie Henn, the young actress who played Newt in Aliens, disappeared from Hollywood because the production traumatized her. Since she spent most of the movie screaming and running from monsters, the rumor sounded believable. Many thought she quit acting to recover from the experience. But the truth, confirmed in the production notes, is the complete opposite. Carrie Henn was not scared at all. She was bored. She found filming to be slow and repetitive, especially when scenes had to be shot over and over. After the movie, she decided acting wasn't something she enjoyed. Number 15. The Cotton Ball Nuke. The climax of the film features a massive nuclear explosion that destroys the colony. In a modern movie, this would be a digital simulation, but in 1986, they used household items. The effects team built a large sculpture shaped like a mushroom cloud using fiberfill, which is basically cotton wool. They placed a high-intensity light bulb deep inside the cotton. When they filmed it in a dark room and brightened the bulb, the light glowed through the fibers. The heat from the bulb actually singed the cotton, creating a darkening effect that looked exactly like swirling smoke and ash. It was a high school science project technique that created a cinema-quality explosion. When you look at Aliens today, it feels like a polished sci-fi classic. But behind every pulse rifle, every acid burn, and every scream was real chaos. The production nearly fell apart more than once, with recasts, crew strikes, abandoned sets, and a director fighting to keep control. What makes Aliens unforgettable is not only the monsters on screen, but how close the movie came to disaster behind the scenes. And despite everything, it became one of the most influential sequels ever made. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.